then Liz, you were the next question to on deck. Take it away, 30 seconds.
So Will, I think you actually kind of gave me my segue here, and I'd like to ask this question of Liz Mattori. Liz, we're going to be losing Barbara Mikulski, who has been a fighter for Maryland. She's been a fighter for women, a fighter for families, a fighter for the environment. How important do you think it is to have a woman or a person of diversity, a minority, be elected in this seat in the 8th District?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. And I just want to say shout out to Valerie Erden. I wish she were here. It really breaks my heart that she's not part of this panel. But frankly, yeah, whenever I see Donna Edwards, I get it, right? Because I have a big ass like Van Hollen sticker on my car. And he voted for me, you know, so I'm actually running for his seat. I live in his district, and I'm an African American woman. Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I think that I wouldn't want someone to vote for me just because I'm a Black woman, but because I would be the right person for that position. We actually have a chance of sending an all-white male delegation back to Congress, depending on how the primary goes, and that's another reason why I took myself out of the Democratic primary. I can't compete with your $500,000 in a month, I'm sorry. I can't compete with Jamie Raston's $1 million in the bank, I'm sorry. So those are the sort of things that I know that Donna's dealing with. If you want to see her, if you don't vote for her, like, you know, contribute to her, do whatever you want. But don't vote for her just because she's a Black woman.
Thanks. Okay, do you have a response up to 30 seconds?
I agree you have to vote for the best person, but I think that we have found in government, where you have fewer than 1 in 5 members of Congress who are women, in the boardroom, where women are woefully underrepresented, minorities are woefully underrepresented in both the Congress and in government, you find that those companies and those legislatures where you have more diversity tend to create better policies. And so I think diversity is an important factor as you go to the ballot booth and make your decision.
Okay, next 30-second question from Liz for one other candidate. And then David Anderson, you're next on deck.
Okay.
So I'll just shoot it back to Kathy Matthews. So as you might know, Montgomery County is now majority minority as a county, and as you know, the rest of the district, thank you, I think for it, thanks for the shout. I also heard that you're having difficulty with quote-unquote ethnic support. Last time I checked, I live in Chevy Chase, right across the street in Silver Spring, and you know, we still live in a segregated society. How will your lack of racial diversity give that voice that you just spoke for in a place that has very few women, very few people of color, very few millennials? What are you planning to do with that?
I'm very proud of the support I'm getting in this campaign, and I think we're all very proud of the supporters and very indebted and grateful to those supporters for helping us with this campaign. And that support is people who are willing to go door to door for you, people who are willing to go online and contribute $5 when you're begging for money in this campaign. And I actually think that in this county, which we are very fortunate is as diverse as it is. When I moved here 40 years ago, it was not nearly as diverse as it is. We have robust immigrant population. We are very lucky that our children and that we are living in an environment as diverse as it is. And so, you know, I think that I'm very proud that my support comes from across every ethnic group that we have represented in this company, in this country, and in this county. And so I you know, understand what you're speaking to, but I actually think that all of us probably can say very proudly that we are representative of this county.
Okay, so yes, we are representative of the county, but what I'm pointing out to you is that you're now in the minority of the entire district. I hope that you're not
I
going
think
to.
women represent 60% of people in the county.
And that's fine, but what I'm talking about is that being a millionaire white woman who lives across the corner from Dana Fire. Like, I grew up actually right across the street from you at Juanita's. I was one of those random black people who you probably wondered, why is she on your street? So at the end of the day, I mean, this is more important than just how many people you can call favors for. This is not a joke. I'm sorry.
Okay, 30-second question from David Anderson for one other candidate.
Okay. I have a question for Kathleen Mack also. Can we get her some more water? Okay.
My reusable bottle.
You have stated, to quote, if elected to Congress, I will reverse cuts to Metro and increase funding for public transportation. My question is, how exactly will you do that in a Republican-led House?
You have to be persuasive. So let me tell you about my experience at Marriott, where I came in 2006. I came out of journalism. I was passionate about the environment. It's something that John Muir and Rachel Carson were my heroes growing up. Ed Markey, a very close friend of mine, who did the Waxman-Markey law. So passionate about the environment. And as I was considering working for Marriott International, which is one of the best places to work because of the benefits and the opportunity it provides people here in Montgomery County and around the world, one of the conditions to work there for me was that they would embark on an environmental strategy. So working with Bill Marriott and the new CEO, Arnie Sorensen, I worked with Marty Snyder here in the room on a climate change strategy for that company where we set goals to reduce our energy, water, and waste by 2020 by 20%. We invested in rainforest preservation, the lungs of the planet in the Amazon. We invested in mangroves in the Caribbean. We invested in rainforest in China. That was within a very conservative company, and I was a progressive voice for change. I was effective because I found the common ground, and I found a way to get people to move with me in the right direction.
The next question or so. Your question, 30-second response.
The challenge with working with a Republican-controlled House is you've got to come up with ideas which speak to the interests of the people in power as well as the powerless. Now, the lead theme of my campaign is about family policy. So I stand for paid leave and tax credits for stay-at-home parents, or paid leave and child care support. I think young families need a choice. I would go to the chairman of the Health Education Committee and say, if we add an amendment to the Family Act, Senator Gillibrand's Act, tax credits for stay-at-home parents, then maybe they'll pass it. That's something for them and something for us.
And Senator Raskin, a 30-second question for one other candidate, and then Delegate Barbara.
I want to preface it just by saying, let's not tear each other down in this campaign. This is our first time together. Let's not do it. Let's not be Republicans, let's be Democrats. And I also have to say, point of personal privilege, if I've got $1 million in the bank, it's news to me. I raised a little bit more than Kathleen did, $550,000, and we had more donors to our campaign than any congressional campaign in the country, not an incumbent. And here's my question.
Question, please.
Okay. I'll do it. I'm getting there. Okay. So here's Anna Sol Gutierrez. Here's my question for you. You mentioned the ratings, and it allowed me to pull out the rating card, which says you and I both have 100% LCD ratings and lifetime 98% ratings, which is fantastic. Here's my question for you. Somebody, when I was sick, gave me a book called "When Bad Things Happen to Good People," and my question is, when good Democrats cast bad votes. So my question is, what are the everybody here has beautiful things to say. I want to vote for everybody in this panel. But the question is that when you're battle tested, why do a lot of people go over to the other side and go with the big money and the lobbies and so on? What happens?
Is this on? Yes. if I knew the answer, I would, I would really love to be able to share it with you. No, I also have that question. I think as I look back on my experience and your experience, and why we are really recognized, not 1 year, but many years. I've been in the state legislature now for entering my 14th year. And out of those years, I've had 100% on my scorecard. Now, why? No, I don't sit around and see which way the wind is going to blow and where are the latest contributions going to come. No, you know, I have core principles and core beliefs. And when I vote and when I know an issue is important because it's going to improve the quality of life of our society, I'm there. And I'm there consistently. And I don't care which way the leadership is telling us to go and which way the business sector is telling us to go. And I think that that needs to be recognized. And I'm sorry to say that too many of our colleagues are not perhaps as courageous to be able to do the right thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a 30-second response if you have it, or maybe if you can keep it to 15 seconds since you used some of your time.
I will yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Raskin yields his time. So, a 30-second question from Delegate Barbe for one other candidate.
Thank you, and my question is for Senator Raskin. As a senior leader in the Maryland General Assembly, I've confronted 2 Republican governors successfully, and I've discovered that you have to have progressive politicians in order to make progressive change. So let me read a press release from the League of Conservation Voters a year ago. The Maryland League of Conservation Voters today announced the most aggressive anti-incumbent challenge in its 35-year history, kicking off a $40,000 effort in support of State Delegate Veronica Turner as she faces sitting State Senator Anthony Muse. Anthony Muse is a gentleman who voted against my clean wind energy bill. He voted against my solar energy initiatives, and frankly, my question is, I want you, Senator, to explain to this group of environmentalists, many of whom are in the LCV, why you would make a personal donation to this candidate when you could have supported a woman of color who is pro-choice and pro-equality instead.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about. Is it really that late in the campaign that we have to get that silly and demagogic? It kind of blows my mind a little bit. Let me clear up the record on this, okay? First of all, I gave Senator Muse, who is a colleague of mine in the Democratic caucus, and I'm the majority whip of the Democratic caucus, a $500 personal contribution after the primary was over. So the primary was over. He did not use it in any way in that primary campaign against Veronica Turner, and he won that race, I think, 3-1. Look, guys, I campaigned on marriage equality, and we brought back marriage equality. And I campaigned to abolish the death penalty, and we abolished the death penalty. And I campaigned on restoring voting rights to ex-felons, and we restored voting rights to ex-felons. The General Assembly has passed more than 100 of the bills that I introduced. And ask my constituents who have re-elected me 3 times with 99%. Do they think that I sell out my principles in anybody else's race, in anybody else's business? I don't accept that. I reject that.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you, and a short response.
No, I will only say that the record stands for itself, and the fact of the matter is, every person here and every person in the legislature running in this district has an equal record with respect to marriage equality, with respect to social justice issues, with respect to the environment. Some of us are better at passing these laws than others. Some of us. And I think that should be the central issue in this campaign.
Okay.